I'm Erin Spencer, and I am a multimedia artist who specializes in watercolor, but I also have been learning how to do acrylic paintings and some weavings and textiles. I've also really learned how to do like linocut work this year, which is like carving and printing plates, so that's really
That one
interesting.
actually, like a print of that one sold at Indigo Cottage Crafts.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So this is the City Hall Gallery, and this exhibit is called Little Birds and Woven Words. And that's because I've been doing these panels of birds all year. I've always loved animals, and birds are really just like, they're interesting animals to me because they have so many different meanings in different cultures. And then woven words because I've been doing kind of these abstract weaving pieces, and there's a lot of unsaid history in textile work.
So what are these for that?
I'm really inspired by my Catholic faith, so a lot of my pieces kind of allude to that as well. I don't particularly like art that has really deep political messages. I kind of like making art for art's sake and showing beauty in the mundane world, kind of the things around us and how they really are beautiful and how we can appreciate that without thinking too much in it. When I first started college, I worked at the Joslin Art Museum, and I got a job there in 2016. And I worked there up until COVID, until the big closure. And I worked there as a security guard starting off, and I would open and close the gallery spaces before everybody would get there. And those are some of my favorite memories, just because it would just be me and the art. And I could really study the pieces and not have to worry about anything for a little bit, which was always really nice. And I also met some really cool people there. I met a lot of other artists, and I mean artists that didn't always have their work up, but who worked behind the lines as well, like other security guards who did art, people who worked in the gift shop doing art, some admin staff. When I started working at the Joslin Art Museum in 2016, one of the artists that I was really inspired by was Sheila Hicks. And she is a fiber artist from Nebraska, and she learned how to weave in Mexico, and she is in Paris. I think she lives in Paris now. But just her weaving pieces, they inspired so many people, and they were so timeless, and I really wanted to emulate that. And I had been thinking about doing weaving for years. So in November of 2022, I kind of taught myself how on a little minnow loom, and then I got a bigger one for Christmas. And some of the pieces in here are inspired by my travels, by my parents' travels, and Sheila Hicks. It was just really cool to be in that kind of environment, and it really influenced how I make art and how I think about art now.
This is my chance. This is my turn. Don't you think you deserve a turn too?
Thank you, babe.
Especially with all the art you do. You get to do it more than I do at this point.
When I go into an art store, there's so many different directions I could go in. Sometimes it can be kind of too much. So oftentimes what I'll do is I'll pick a medium, a media, and I will focus in on it, and I'll learn how to really work with it. And like this year, it's been acrylics. This year I've really looked into acrylics, how to use them, got the best brands. I've really enjoyed watercolor. I really enjoy weaving. I've gotten kind of used to like feeling the fibers in my fingers, which has been really cool. But I feel like with animals, watercolor and acrylics can emulate the feathers, the fur, the different kind of details that I'd like to get.
Finishing that was a feat. Just because if you mess up on one print.
When I was in college, I loved working with my hands with linocut carving. It's basically like linoleum blocks, and you have carving tools and you carve away at the linoleum so you can kind of make your own stamps. With the evangelists, what I wanted to do was I wanted to make all 4 of the gospel writers. And so I have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, probably familiar with them, and each of them has a holy symbol. The holy symbol is like each of them has one of them in the Bible, and they kind of talk about it. I actually based St. Matthew on my brother, who lives here in Papillion, and his is the winged man or an angel. Then there's St. John, which his symbol is the eagle. St. Mark, whose symbol is the lion, because his gospel starts with John the Baptist, kind of like howling in the desert like a lion. And then St. Luke, whose symbol is the winged ox, kind of representing Jesus' sacrificial nature. With this piece, I was able to carve 4 separate 8x10-inch blocks, ink them up, and this is all on one sheet, and I pressed them by hand. And there's only one print like this in the exhibit, which is really exciting.
It's kind of nice. I've been prepping, all of these bird paintings and all of these weaving pieces, and after this exhibit, I'm kind of free to do my own thing for a little bit.
Just the act of creating as people is so important, and it's something, especially by hand, that I think people are forgetting as we move into more of a digital age. I think it's really important that people keep creating and try to learn new things about themselves and learn new things about the people that came before them through art making. I think that's really important.